Have you ever faced a betrayal so deep, it felt like the world was crumbling around you? A moment that shattered everything you believed in? This is the story of Mark, a man who had what he thought was the perfect life. A life built on love, trust, and a shared future with his wife, Sarah. They were the couple everyone looked up to, the ones who seemed to have it all figured out. But behind the facade of their happy marriage, a storm was brewing, one that would test Mark in ways he never imagined. Mark and Sarah had been together for over a decade. They met in college, two bright-eyed dreamers ready to take on the world. Their love story was like something out of a movie, a whirlwind romance that quickly blossomed into a deep, meaningful partnership. They supported each other through thick and thin, celebrated every success, and comforted each other through every failure. Mark worked hard as an architect, designing beautiful homes, while Sarah pursued her passion for art, creating stunning paintings that captured the beauty of the world around them. Their home was a sanctuary, filled with laughter, creativity, and the promise of a long, happy life together. To their friends and family, they were inseparable, a perfect match. Mark believed their bond was unbreakable, that their love was a fortress that could withstand any challenge. He was wrong. The first crack in their perfect world appeared subtly. Sarah started working late more often, attributing it to a new gallery project. Mark, ever the supportive husband, never questioned it. He'd have dinner waiting for her, listen to her talk about her day, and do everything he could to ease her stress. Then came the hushed phone calls she'd take in the other room, the way she'd quickly angle her phone away when he walked by. A small, cold knot of suspicion began to form in Mark's stomach, but he pushed it down, telling himself he was being paranoid. He trusted Sarah. He had to. But the distance between them grew, a silent, invisible wall that Mark couldn't seem to break through. The easy laughter that once filled their home was replaced by a tense silence. He felt like he was living with a stranger. The truth, when it finally came out, was more devastating than he could have ever prepared for. It wasn't a dramatic confrontation or a tearful confession. It was a simple, accidental discovery. An email left open on Sarah's laptop. An email not from a gallery owner, but from another man. The words on the screen blurred as Mark's world tilted on its axis. The messages were intimate, filled with shared secrets and plans for a future that didn't include him. The affair had been going on for months. Every late night, every secret phone call, every ounce of distance clicked into place, forming a heartbreaking picture of betrayal. The man he thought he knew, the life he thought he had, it was all a lie. The pain was immediate and all-consuming, a physical ache in his chest that stole his breath. He felt foolish, naive, and utterly broken. The confrontation was quiet and heavy. Sarah didn't deny it. Tears streamed down her face as she admitted everything, begging for his forgiveness. She said it was a mistake, that she loved him, that she didn't know what she was thinking. Her words were a torrent of apologies and excuses, but to Mark, they were just noise. The trust, the very foundation of their marriage, had been pulverized. His friends and family all rallied around him, but they all offered the same advice. She made a terrible mistake, but you've been together so long, you have to find a way to forgive her. Everyone expected him to be the bigger person, to work through it, to salvage the decade they had built together. The pressure was immense. Part of him wanted to rewind time and go back to when things were simple and happy. He looked at Sarah, the woman he had loved more than anything, and saw a stranger. Forgiving her felt like an impossible mountain to climb. In the weeks that followed, Mark was adrift in a sea of confusion and grief. He moved into the guest room, the space between him and Sarah feeling as wide as an ocean. He went through the motions of his life, work, eat, sleep, but felt completely hollow inside. Every corner of their home was a reminder of her betrayal. He replayed their life together in his mind, searching for signs he had missed, questioning everything. He was consumed by anger, sadness, and a profound sense of loss. The world seemed to be holding its breath, waiting for him to make a decision. "Forgive her," the voices echoed in his head. "It's the right thing to do." But every time he tried to imagine a future with her, the image of that email would flash in his mind, and the wound would feel fresh all over again. He realized that forgiving her right now wasn't about strength. It felt like a betrayal of himself. One sleepless night, staring at the ceiling, Mark had a revelation. It wasn't about her anymore. It wasn't about what she did or why she did it. It was about him. He was so focused on the question of forgiving Sarah that he hadn't considered someone else who needed forgiveness even more: himself. He needed to forgive himself for not seeing the signs, for believing in a fairy tale, for being so completely blindsided. He needed to forgive himself for the anger he felt, for the pain that was eating him alive. He realized that true healing wasn't about pardoning her actions. It was about releasing himself from the prison of his own bitterness and self-blame. He understood that holding on to this resentment was like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. It was only hurting him. That single shift in perspective changed everything. The question was no longer, "Can I forgive her?" but "How can I forgive myself and move forward?" The answer was clear. He couldn't do it while staying in a relationship built on a shattered foundation. The next morning, with a sense of calm he hadn't felt in months, Mark told Sarah his decision. He wasn't going to fight. He wasn't going to yell. He simply said, "I can't do this anymore. Not because I hate you, but because I need to love myself." He explained that he was choosing to let go of the anger and the pain, but that also meant letting go of their marriage. It wasn't the dramatic ending everyone expected. It was quiet, somber, but resolute. He was choosing himself. He was choosing to heal. He was choosing to move on. The path forward wasn't easy. Divorce is a painful process, a dismantling of a life once shared. But with every step, Mark felt a little lighter. He started focusing on himself again. He poured his energy into his work, started jogging in the mornings, and reconnected with old friends he'd lost touch with. He began the difficult but necessary work of forgiving himself. He learned to accept that he couldn't control others' actions, only his own reaction. He realized that forgiving himself wasn't about erasing the past, but about accepting it and refusing to let it define his future. He wasn't forgiving her actions. He was releasing himself from their power over him. It was a profound act of self-love. His friends and family, who had once pushed for reconciliation, saw the change in him. They saw the light returning to his eyes and understood that he had made the right choice. Today, Mark's life looks very different, but it's authentically his. He is more than just a man who was cheated on. He is a man who found the strength to rebuild from the ashes. He learned that sometimes the greatest act of forgiveness isn't directed at the person who wronged you, but at yourself. He forgave himself for being human, for being trusting, and for getting hurt. And in doing so, he gave himself the greatest gift of all: freedom. Freedom from bitterness, freedom from the past, and the freedom to create a new, happy life on his own terms. His story is a powerful reminder that while we can't control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. Sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is let go, forgive ourselves, and bravely step into a new beginning. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this time with me. If this story resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.